Hey guys, welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, go ahead and hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this holy mess. Now, listen, I'm just going to share my thoughts because I've had multiple videos sent to me over the past few days, and honestly, this really is a whole lot of. And I don't get into stuff like this, but I wanted to share my thoughts because one, it was shared with me, multiple pieces of content were shared with me, and so I know it's to just get my thoughts on all of this, but I'm going to try to make this as concise as possible because I'm not here to expose. I'm not here to put anybody out on Front Street. I'm definitely not here as a role of a prophetess. Okay. I'm not even here as a role of a prophet is PROFIT/ESS, which I believe a lot of these people are, because yeah, they're profiting off of this stuff. And it is what it is, like this is the thing these days. You have a lot of people who are on social media who claim to be called of God, but yet, I'm not saying that God wants anybody to be broke or broken, but a lot of what these people are doing, it it definitely is about money. Now, while some people might want to come in my comments, you can save it because I don't really care what anybody has to say. This is my platform, and I can share my thoughts on what I feel like talking about. And I talk about a multitude of topics on my platform. So there's that. And God ain't coming for me and giving no judgment to me because I'm talking about somebody that claims to be a prophetess. So you can save your comments about judgment and God and don't speak on the woman of God and all this other stuff because all of that stuff is fear based. And I truly believe that a lot of people, especially in the Christian, so called, I will say, Christian world, they operate from a space of fear. And the Bible actually says God is not giving you the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And I truly believe that a lot of this stuff is not coming from a space of love, definitely not. And I don't even believe it's coming from the space of having a sound mind, but I definitely believe it comes from a space of trying to control, to manipulate, and to scare. So for those who fall for the okey doke, go ahead and do it. That's on you. But I don't live in that space. And I will say that for some years, a long time ago, I did. I did come from a space of living in fear because of things that I was so called learning, but it really wasn't learning, it was more programming. So a lot of things that were being programmed into my mind, which went to my heart and my spirit. And I'm so glad that I broke free from that. So I'm going to share just like a little quick story. And one of the reasons why I'm even talking about this, and then I'll get into my thoughts on everything. Because, like I said, I want to try to make this as concise as possible because it isn't even really worth spending a whole lot of time talking about this these people and this drama because that's really what it is. And when you see a whole lot of foolishness and mess, just trust and know and believe that God, the true and living God, isn't really, I don't want to say isn't really, he isn't in this stuff at all. So that gives me peace. But like I said, many, many, many years ago, I used to be in a ministry. I was not involved in it in terms of working, but I just went to the church. And I was married. I still am, but I was married, and my husband was not a part of it. He came, tried to visit a few times, but he was like the same for me. It was cool. The church was not very big, but I started going through some things in my marriage. And because I have a personal relationship with God and I was praying, and I was like, just say to myself, I'm not going to be one of those people that says God told me or God said or God touched me or whatever, because a lot of these people who say that God spoke to them, I don't even believe really God spoke to them, but that's just my personal opinion. So I was going to this church and I started just, it was because I was putting the church before my own relationship. at my own household and my husband was not a part of it, it was causing a rift. And prior to me going to the church, things were good. Nobody's relationship is perfect, so I'm not going to sit here and say that it was. And anyone who says that their relationship is perfect is a liar. But it was good. It wasn't, it was good. So I was looking around one day and I noticed something because it was like my eyes were open. And all of the people that were going to the church were, for the most part, women. There was a few guys in there, but the few guys that were in there were married to, some of the women that were in there. And they were not having the best of, marriages and relationships. And the women that were going there, they were either married and their husbands are not going there, so their marriages were not great, or they're single. And I looked around one day and I said, you know what? What am I doing? If I keep going here, I'm going to wind up single like a lot of these women. And I'm not saying that marriage is everything for everyone. It isn't. It's not the end all be all. But mine, like I said, it was pretty good. So it was like, am I going to allow going to this church to break up my happy household? Or am I going to water the grass in my own yard to make it greener so that I could have the relationship, and not just the relationship, but the life that I want? And I just abruptly stopped going. And that was that. And that was a long time ago. And actually, ironically, today is my wedding anniversary. 26 years I've been married. So, with all of that being said, this Tiffany Montgomery stuff with the beefs, her saying that God told her that judgment has come to somebody's house and all of this other stuff. I'm going to play a little quick clip because there's some woman that says she's a prophetess that goes by the name Celestial. And like I said, I'm not here to expose or call any of these people out or whatever. I'm just here to share my thoughts on what's already out there. And I guess this woman, Celestial, said that Tiffany Montgomery is a false prophetess. So I guess because that was said, and a lot of people are following this woman, which honestly, I believe that these two people have a lot of the same followers. That's my personal opinion. And the majority of them are women. I would say 97% are women, and then the other 3% are men. And the majority of those men are probably gay. And again, I'm not even saying anything negative about gay men, but what I'm saying is no real masculine man who is the leader and the head is really following these people. Let's just be clear about that. But I'm going to play this little quick clip because to me, I found it funny.
Celestial, there is a word of the Lord for you. I heard the Lord say to tell you, I am against you, saith the Lord. I heard the Lord say, you have not gone up into the gaps, neither have you made up a hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord. You have seen vanity and lying divination, saying, the Lord saith, and the Lord has not sent you.
So that's just a little quick clip. And I guess she's saying that the Lord told her that the Lord didn't send Celestial because Celestial said that she is a false prophetess. Listen, this stuff is just like insanity to me. But why I really wanted to talk about this, why I really wanted to talk about this, and I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at this, even though it is kind of comical. I'm laughing because actually somebody sent me a video where I guess she's a like an online comedian and she actually did both of these people in her video, and it was like the war of the prophetesses or something like that. Anyway, I was laughing at that. I wasn't laughing at this. But the followers, I believe, are majority women, and I believe that they actually share some of the same followers, probably a lot of the same followers. All of this stuff about judgment and God said and whatever, like, really? But I truly believe that the majority of the people that follow Tiffany Montgomery, like I said, are majority women, but they also feel like, oh, she gives like something different because honestly, Tiffany Montgomery is not a bad looking woman. She's not. Um, I do believe that she gained a lot of her following initially because people felt like she was being genuine and real. And I'm gonna equate it to this because I talk about politics a little bit on my platform as well. A lot of the reason why so many people got enthralled with Donald Trump is because he was giving them something different. Even though he actually initially wasn't really running to become president, it was for marketing purposes, it was about business. And these stupid people actually voted for him. But not even just voted for him, but made him the actual Republican nominee in the beginning because he was running against so many other Republican nominees. And a lot of them that were saying the truth about him in the beginning, but they sold out for the sake of keeping their own careers going. And now they're in the cult of Trump. But he was giving them something different. They were like, oh, he's being real. He's telling it like it is, whatever. And a lot of these people, they got enthralled with that. A lot of the people who started and with Tiffany in the beginning, I believe, got enthralled with the fact that, oh, she's a young woman. She said she got saved in her bathroom shower stall or whatever. She talked about how she had her pregnancy termination. She talked about her baby daddy drama. She talked about this, she talked about that. She even says a few, words that are not considered to be clean. So I feel like she's real. She's a real person and she loves God too. And she's also a prophetess. Oh, sign me up. She doesn't have a real church. We can go and meet once a month. Oh, sign me up. She has a millions conference. She's a millionaire. Oh my God. Check, check, and check. Sign me up. I believe a lot of the followers of hers, they live vicariously through her because she ultimately, not even ultimately, but she came out years ago and said, I'm a millionaire. And she has a conference that she calls Millions that people go to, that they pay money to. You can pay to either just go and have general seating or be in the VIP. Of course, VIP is always more money. And so a lot of these people, they want to be millionaires. Who really doesn't? I'm not saying everybody does, but who doesn't want to live in a world where they don't have to struggle financially? And a lot of these people are. I'm not saying that they're all broke, but a lot of them are broken. And so she gives them something that they didn't see before. She doesn't look like Mahalia Jackson, if you get my drift. She doesn't look like Shirley Caesar. She don't even look like Juanita Bynum, even though we know over the years Juanita Bynum, she, started dressing it up and fixing it up, putting makeup on it, and she even got married. Remember her? Remember when she got married? She had this huge wedding that they aired on whatever the channel was called. I think it was TBN. She had like a multi-million-dollar wedding. And I think the wedding lasted for hours or something like that. I remember it was from years ago. And Juanita Bynum is no longer married to that man anymore. His name was Bishop Thomas Weeks. And that marriage turned out to be a sham in a way because it was an abusive relationship. It was an abusive relationship that they profited off of. They had a book, they had conferences, they were touring. They had a book, I think it was called Teach Me How to Love You. And then ultimately all this stuff came out where he was beating her down in the parking lot of a hotel. Like, so I'm not saying that Tiffany is hiding her relationship because she doesn't want it to be a public spectacle like Juanita Bynum. I'm not saying that she even had her inner thoughts, but honestly, that's something that just came to me as I was speaking to you guys. So who knows? I'm not going to be one of those people to say that God told me to say this and God told me to say that. But hey, maybe it was God inspired. I don't know. But here's what I want to say to that. A lot of these women that follow her, they're single, they want to be married, they want to be in a good relationship. A lot of them are baby mamas, have baby daddy drama, and dealing with a lot of stuff. A lot, of course, because of their own choices and decisions that they've made in life. But yet and still, if they're going through this marriage fast and the year of the bride and all of this other stuff, and their leader is proclaiming that she was single when she started it, and then ultimately she wound up getting engaged, and then now she's married, but she's not showcasing her marriage to the public, and not just to the public, because really I could care less, but to her followers, because I'm not one of them. But she can't even showcase her marriage to her followers, and then her followers are going and getting in people's comment sections to say that she doesn't have to showcase her marriage and who are you and blah 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 and yada yada yada. But yet this woman is the same woman who came out here to say that Beyonce is whatever she said about Beyonce. I don't remember if she said Beyonce is a witch or she's demonic or whatever. But either way, we know Beyonce has a what they call the beehive. In my personal opinion, I feel like Tiffany has the tea hive because a lot of the content that I've seen where people have spoken regarding Tiffany and it was not something that was flattering about her, guess what? These people, these content creators, they have their comments either turned off or limited. And you know why? Because they know that the tea hive is going to come in their comment section to try to get at them, to either speak curses over them or to say, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. Who's to say that the people that are speaking about Tiffany are not the anointed? Like seriously. But because a lot of these people are in cults and they don't even realize it, this is the type of stuff that goes on. So they go on and they defend Tiffany more than they defend the name of Jesus, which I don't really hear a whole lot about. But as Christians, I thought it was supposed to be about not just God, but Jesus. But this is what I found too, in my opinion. I feel that a lot of the people like the Tiffany's and even, the other one, wasn't Celestial. They really talk a whole lot about God and judgment and pretty much and this is what I feel. The judgment that they speak, it's almost as if they're saying these people are going to die because they were talking about them or they spoke something not even really against them, but spoke something in opposite of what they're speaking and even claiming that they're not real, they're false. So you mean to tell me that God is going to be killing these people because they're talking about them? I don't think so. And it's like they negate the power of the cross, the power of Jesus. But I'm not here to preach. That's not who I am. I'm definitely not a preacher. But I'm just basically saying that a lot of these people, I feel that they really speak a whole lot about God and the Old Testament and judgment because that's actually what they want. They're really, to me, it's not a whole lot different than what they say is witchcraft, dark. And speaking of dark, and before I get into that, the marriage thing, if she really is married, why in God's name, yeah, I said it, why in God's name would he not want her to showcase the quote unquote blessing? It's supposed to be a blessing, right? I'm not saying that she has to showcase her personal life and have a social media relationship because I don't believe in those either. Like I said, I've been married for 26 years. I don't sit and talk about my marriage and my relationship a lot, honestly, at all on social media. I don't showcase it. I don't I don't do it. But if you're doing something like that where you were fasting for, praying for, believing for a husband, and then allegedly when God gives it to you or gifts it to you, however you want to see it, God is going to say, don't show nobody. I don't believe that. Now, while I have no like I said, I have no issue with someone wanting to keep their relationship private and not put the details of the relationship out on social media, why would you not want to show, or why not even would you not want to show, why would God not want you to show that? Now, it's being alleged that she's not even really married. I could care less. So to me, like I said, this isn't about me exposing her and her marriage or non-marriage, but to say that God said, "Don't show anybody," I don't believe that. I would have more respect if the person just said, "Yeah, God did it, but I don't want to show anybody." But to say that God said, I don't personally believe that. And for those women that are following her, that are wanting the same thing that she has, which is what she says is the millions, and what she says is the marriage. They want the marriage and the millions, but they can't see the marriage. They can't even see the husband. All they saw is a ring. Anybody can put a ring on their finger, on their own finger, especially if they're a millionaire, right? You can buy your own ring, you know? But because they want the marriage and the millions, they will blindly follow and blindly defend her because they're vicariously living through her and they ultimately want what she says she has. I don't know if she's really a millionaire. I won't doubt her money. I'm not here counting her pockets. I'm not here watching her pockets. If she has it, cool, great. But the marriage thing, that's just really weird to me. And I personally do not believe that God had anything to do with her not showing anyone her husband. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't believe that I am wrong. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about when I said speaking of dark, because here's the thing that I do know. Years ago, when the C word hit the world, and I don't follow her, so I didn't know anything about this, but I guess she was saying that she was prophesying about this situation actually happening because she was telling people to buy masks. And so, but there was no specific details. I don't know why. I don't know why that would make anybody feel like, oh, well, yeah, she's a prophetess because she was telling people to buy Listerine and buy masks. And then the COVID happened. So that means that she prophesied that. Really? But there's this other guy who says that he's a prophet, Prophet Brian Karn. And apparently she was saying that he stole her prophecy. Here's the thing, like the thing about stealing the prophecy. If God is giving instructions to his people, and I'm just speaking, if he's giving instructions to his people and he's doing it by way of giving it to his prophets or prophetesses, why would it be that he would only tell it to one person? Listen, I'm not saying that God spoke to either of them, but I'm just basically talking about the someone stole my prophecy thing. And where I'm getting to with this is the fact that vlogger, because he is not a pastor, but he wants to claim that he is. He may have had a church at one point in time, and he may be grifting people online by saying that he has a he has a ministry online. Larry Reid, the one who lies about being gay, the one who was in a sexual relationship with at least one man, because this man came out, at least he came out and told the truth, Vincent Terrell Hill. She was on his platform talking to him about Prophet Brian Carnes stealing her prophecy. And I don't even remember how I listened to it because I don't follow any of them. But this was years ago, and I was listening to it, and Larry Reid, the one who was out here doing a lot of despicable things, he's disgusting, okay? She is speaking to him, of all people, about another person stealing her prophecy. And this man is having sexual relationships with men, but lying about being gay, saying he doesn't believe in labels, was allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly, but I believe the young man's story, having taking advantage of one of his parishioners who was a boy, a young man. I don't care if it was one day after the age of consent. He was in a position of leadership, and this young man was in his church, and he was having sex with this man. He never came out and denied that he was doing things with him, but he said that he lied about his age. He was not under the age of consent when it happened. And he was talking about all the things that he did for him and his family. For this woman to claim to be a prophetess, and God didn't give her any discernment about this man that she was speaking to. And she wasn't just speaking to him, because he also said that he believes that she's a prophetess. So I feel like birds of a feather flock together. And speaking of birds of a feather flocking together, Cora Jakes, who was Cora Jakes Coleman, but she divorced her husband after he got locked up for allegedly doing some things to their adopted daughter. But this woman who used spiritual manipulation and spiritual coercion to take her former friend's son because she wanted a baby, and she felt like her friend had one too many than she could afford and that she could handle. And she used spiritual manipulation and spiritual coercion to take this woman's child, Michelle Loud. Tiffany Montgomery has connections to her. And not only connections to her, but also to the woman that Michelle Loud, in her video that she did where she blasted Cora Jakes and shared what she did and how she used spiritual manipulation to take her baby. The woman that she said was praying over her, Gaylena, Tiffany Montgomery has connections to her too. Now, while I will say this because I don't follow her, I don't know if she still has connections to her to this day. But even then, when she was saying she was a prophetess years ago, she had connections to those people. I don't believe that God is involved in any of this stuff. I really don't. But the reason why I even wanted to talk about this is because I just have an affinity for people when I feel like they're being manipulated. Now, I can't make anybody change their mind. I'm not here to convince anyone that they need to break free of being a follower of hers, or honestly, anyone else that is wrapped up in this cult like behavior. But that Jim Jones, Guyana, Jonestown situation that happened many years ago, that stuff haunts me. And although, thank God, I was not involved in that and I don't know anyone that was, I remember years ago when I saw that story, many, many years ago. It was on one of the anniversaries of the Jonestown massacre, where it was not just a mass suicide, it was a mass MURDER, because a lot of those people did not want to die. So they got injected with cyanide laced Kool-Aid, or they were shot. So many of those people followed this man because they believed that he was a real man of God. And not just some of them follow because they thought he was a real man of God. A lot of them follow out of fear. A lot of these people, they are wrapped up in this stuff because it's fear based, but also it's living vicariously because they want the marriage and the millions that Tiffany claims to have. And it's sad. People have to wake up to themselves to get to a place where it's like something ain't right. Seek God for yourself, read the word, It's not that difficult. It really isn't. But to be wrapped up in this type of stuff where you're to the point where you're buzzing in other people's comment section that are speaking about this person, where you feel like you have to defend them, you're defending them more than you defend the Bible, the Word of God, Jesus, God. Like, seriously, because they idolize this person and they will not admit it. They won't admit it. A lot of them will never admit it. But in the Bible, it talks about idolization, idol worship. And she could say all day long, don't worship me, don't idolize me, don't make an idol out of me. And I'm not even saying that she wants people to idolize her, but a lot of people do, whether they admit it or not. And she enjoys some of the trappings of being idolized, whether she admits it or not. And the reason I say this is because when she did this blast Beyonce, and not even blast Beyonce, she actually blasted her followers or so-called Christians, she said, who claim to be Christians but are going to the Beyonce concert. When that went viral and it was on the likes of the Shade Room or the other Instagram blogs, she was commenting under people's comments who were defending her. God is not big up and high-fiving, patting on the back people who are defending him and his word, but she's doing it. It's because she enjoys the trappings of the idolization. Like I said, she will never admit it, probably never will. And the people who idolize her, they will probably never admit that they do idolize her. But I just have an affinity for people who get trapped up in these cults, and cults have levels. Just because these people are free to come and go, they can go home, they can go to work, they can be around their family, some, friends, do some of the things that they do in their regular life. Ultimately, they are wrapped up in something that is very cult-like, and they just have to be careful. They have to wisen up. And I just see a lot, and I just shake my head because that's all I can really do when it comes to these people. People are going to do what they want to do, but I really find it comical that she is calling out these people and saying that judgment has come to their house, putting curses on people. If people's proverbially comes for her, then judgment has come to their house. God, listen, don't live in that type of fear. God is not anywhere involved in that type of stuff. And it's like so much is going on in the world. Really, so much is going on in the world. If these people are really true prophets and prophetesses, why aren't they speaking about these things explicitly in detail? Don't tell me about, oh, she said people need to buy masks and Listerine. I mean, like, why can't there be the specificity when it comes to the prophecies? Because I believe that when you read the Bible and you read these prophecies that happen or the ones that are to come, they're pretty specific. They're pretty, but it's not vague, if you will. So just telling people to buy masks and Listerine does not mean that she prophesied that the pandemic was happening. And anybody can say, something's going to happen, something's going to happen, something big is happening. And then when it happens, and then you say, yeah, see, I told you something was going like, yeah, you said something, but you didn't say that. It's just, it's tiring, honestly. I've listened to a lot of the different things that were sent to me and some things that were suggested to me that showed up in my feed. All of this stuff is just really tiring. But the the prophet beefs, and there's another young lady too that I guess I called her out and said that she's not really a prophet. People can. say, oh, well, they're just using her name for clout. They're just using her name to get clicks and views. They're using her name to, well, it's not a problem when she says something about Beyonce. I don't know. It's just a lot. But I just wanted to share my thoughts on it, guys, and give you straight from the dome, straight from the heart, and lay it out like that. So you can feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Trust and believe. I ain't receiving nothing that's negative, so don't even come for me. But I'm not going to be one of these people that turns my comments off because I'm afraid for what people are going to say. Because I know the God that I serve is the true and living God. Yeah. And I know that I'm covered. I'm covered by Jesus. Okay. The one that God sent to atone for me. And I received it and I accept it. So no curse that anybody can speak on me, and no judgment that anybody can speak on me is going to have me living in fear. And for those who feel that way, trust and believe everybody in this life is going to go through stuff. So if you start going through some stuff, trust that it has nothing to do with the judgment that they might say is at your doorstep, because everybody's going through, some on different levels. But I really honestly do have a heart for people. I'm not here to try to preach, have a ministry, prophesy, none of that stuff. But I truly believe that for the most part, the followers, they want the marriage and the millions like she proclaims to have. And so they are not fully awakened to what is really going on. So let it be. Let it be. So, guys, thanks so much for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So, until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.